Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Moore, and that noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Today, I want to talk about how the financial failure of Solo: A Star Wars Story might have been a good thing in the long run. Now, you may be taken aback by this statement and say, what in the world are you talking about? How can the financial failure of Solo be a good thing at all? Well, from the perspective of a film, it's not a good thing. Solo's financial failure is very unfortunate. Let me really briefly put this in context. Solo would have made money if it were not for the massive overhaul of the entire film. When Lord and Miller, the directing duo who were directing Solo, were fired, there's no better way to put it, they were fired. The film had to almost be completely redone. Now, there are rumors about how much was changed, how much was redone. But what seems to be the most common consensus is that about 70% of the film had to be redone. Now, this begs the question, how far were they in production? Now, credit must go to Ron Howard for putting it all together and delivering what I think, and what most people think, is a pretty good movie. Yes, we may quibble about, was there stuff in there that we didn't need, like explanations about every detail of Han's origin. Maybe not every detail. But, we got a lot more than I think we necessarily wanted. But I think that generally, people embrace Solo. And I'm very, very glad that they were able to pull it off, deliver it on time, and deliver an experience that most people enjoy. Now, yes, filmmaking is a business. But it's also an art. And as far as I'm concerned, I enjoyed the film as just a film. I understand that it is important to keep in mind the financial aspects of the film. But as entertainment, I think it succeeded. That being said, the movie would have been profitable were it not for the reshoots. It would have made a little profit, not much, but it would have made some. And so it's not like the movie was a complete failure. Now, the movie did make more money than it cost to make, but that is not including marketing and theatrical distribution and other elements that need to be included in the overall price tag. Especially for a movie from the Star Wars brand. And so, unfortunately, it failed to recoup its costs, but it still made nearly $400 million. That's nothing to cry about. So, overall, it didn't do as badly as you might think. That being said, the repercussions of this financial failure were felt far and wide. this shit sent shockwaves. Not only did it demonstrate that Star Wars is not a bulletproof brand, it can take a hit and unfortunately stay down. Yes, even Star Wars is not immune to financial failure. It used to be believed that you slap the title Star Wars on something, it's going to be a bestseller. That has been disproven. Now, getting all of this out of the way, let's look at the overall effect of the movie. The movie halted some of the plans that Lucasfilm had. Or should I say, plans that they were reported to have had. Lucasfilm, like its creator, is very tight-lipped. It doesn't tell us a lot. The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline were really the news sources that were giving us the quote-unquote details about the future of Star Wars. There was going to be a Boba Fett movie. You may remember this. There was going to be an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, which is now confirmed to be a series. And there were even reports and rumors floating that there was going to be a bounty hunter, smuggler, criminal underworld movie that was actually being made, or at least had sets that had been built. All of these were apparently scrapped because of Solo. It is ironic to say Lucasfilm unofficially canceled the movies it had never officially announced. But, you know, that's just how it is in this business. So, I think that Disney and Lucasfilm took a step back and went, you know what? Solo has demonstrated that not everyone is interested in the origin of a lot of our favorite characters. Now, the reason I think this is significant is because I think it's actually a good thing in the long run. Because I think what was going to happen was that if Solo had succeeded, they would have continued making origin films or backstory films about our characters, beginning with Boba Fett. Now, you may recall that the second Star Wars anthology movie after Rogue One was going to be the Boba Fett movie. But then it was switched around. It was going to be, then it became Solo. And Boba Fett was going to be the third one. But there was a bit of trouble. Before Solo had come out, the Boba Fett film had been canceled. Or at least postponed, because the director that they had hired proved to be a particular nightmare. Or at least they were worried that he would be because of his reputation. I don't want to say his name now. You can look that up. Because I don't want to really insult him because I don't know him. But they decided to at least delay the Boba Fett film. And switched it around to Solo. Solo happened. Didn't work out too well. Boba Fett, Kenobi, and then this other possible bounty hunter movie were canceled, more or less. Now, why is this significant? Now, I, unfortunately, I'm sure some of you may find this unfortunate. I don't care that much about Boba Fett. I never thought he was that interesting. I know that the look is interesting. I know that a lot of fans were interested because he's a very mysterious fellow. Particularly like Star Wars fans who are big into like deep dives in the canon. In the early days, we didn't know that much about Boba Fett. But in the novelization of The Empire Strikes Back by Donald Glut, it gave an explanation of Boba Fett as a Mandalorian warrior, and that the Mandalorians had fought against the Jedi in the Clone Wars. That was the description given in that book. And for a long time, that's what people believed, until Attack of the Clones demonstrated otherwise. So I can understand that Boba Fett intrigued a lot of people. But I was never interested. And I don't think that the average film goer, the average fan, is like, oh, well, it's that guy. They know who he is. But I don't think they have the attachment to him that a lot of the deep fans do. So that being said, I think they could have made a very interesting movie about Boba Fett. And I think somebody had described this, and theorized this in something I was listening to yesterday. I believe it was the Rule of Two podcaster Rick Leiter. So props to them. I suggested that maybe the Mandalorian series is sort of the placeholder of what was going to be a story about Boba Fett. Just considering that the Mandalorian himself looks a bit like Boba Fett. I don't know that I necessarily buy that theory, but it is a good idea that since they couldn't do the Boba Fett film, or that was never going to happen, the Mandalorian series is kind of a replacement for that. It's a good theory. I find it to be very interesting, and so I could see the merit of that. But I just would never have been very interested in the prospect of a Boba Fett film. Though, if done right, if done maybe like Logan or something like that, sure. But the future of Star Wars seems to be streaming right now. So, I'm actually kind of glad that Solo did throw a wrench in their plans. Because what I hope that it means is that the next films, the ones that Benioff and Benioff and Weiss are working on, that will come out in the next decade. I hope that those movies are going to explore characters, places, and parts of the timeline that we do not know. I think that the danger of the success, if Solo had succeeded, I think we would have ended up with a lot of movies exploring time periods that we are already very familiar with. Going backwards instead of going forward. What I mean is exploring too much of what we already know instead of exploring things that we don't know. So I think that the failure of Solo actually has yielded some good results, at least I hope so, We have not yet heard what the Benioff and Weiss movies are going to be about, but it was hinted by Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy that they will be exploring parts of the timeline hitherto unexplored. Also, lately, with The Mandalorian taking place after Return of the Jedi, that's very interesting. We're exploring new things. Now, I don't know how Kenobi and the Rogue One spin-off series are going to deal, because they're going to be set in time periods we already know. But I have faith that they're going to give us some stuff that we are not familiar with. And I think that there is a lot of opportunity going forward to explore new things. Because I think Solo made Lucasfilm realize that fans are hungry for things that are new and things that we do not know. That being said, I love Solo. I'm glad we got it. I would have preferred maybe something a little bit more unusual and unique. Instead of telling us about a character that we don't really want to know any more about. Regardless, I'm glad it's here. I enjoyed it, but I am glad that it did give Lucasfilm pause to reconsider their future. And I hope that good comes of it. My name is Brendan Marr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator, and thank you so much for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.